Like the more you try and be perfect, the more you fail to do other things. It really doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing today doesn't matter. You're not as important as you think you are, but also the thing you're worrying about isn't a life and death thing.
Oh shit, like, this is really bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
You can mess up like that, but you'll still be around. You're not going to lose your job.
It's never that serious.
It's never that serious. I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
And it's 3 pieces of advice. So first is, what advice would you give yourself at the beginning of your career? Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rice Among Potatoes. Now, I apologize for the sound. The sound wasn't great on this filming, and that's because we didn't have proper mics. Now, if you could like and subscribe, that will really help us improve our filming quality and hopefully get new mics for better sound for everyone. Thank you very much. Back to the show.
I think Jan at the start of his career was a very different person. I'd probably go with the confidence thing. You need more confidence, Jan. Stop, worrying about this nonsense. Just get on with it. Do more. Like the more you try and be perfect, the more you fail to do other things. If you do more, you're just getting out there, practicing all the different things, you're going to do well. And you're going to have the confidence to know that's something you can afford to do. And that would be that one. Sorry, the other 2 questions.
So
confidence,
confidence first. So next is, what piece of advice would you give yourself after you've had a bad day?
After you had a bad day, it doesn't matter. Whatever you think it is, it doesn't matter. The classic one is when you go on holiday and you're somewhere completely different and you arrive and you've managed to find somewhere new, you think, I never knew a place like this existed. And you think, what a wonderful place this is. If you imagine the world is full of those wonderful places, and whatever you think you are today, however sad or miserable or annoyed you are, maybe at yourself, maybe at your boss, maybe it's your spouse, maybe something else, you're angry or depressed, you feel like you've lost control of the situation, and you think to yourself, I'm never going to be able to get out of this, or I've ruined it, or I've really screwed up in some way. If you can think there is a place out there that I've never been to before, I've never discovered, and that's wonderful and interesting and different.
Or where people don't know you.
Where people don't know you. And I think that's a brilliant opportunity there to think about whatever I'm doing today, however bad I think it is today. If I was to jump on a Eurostar, it would be quite a cool one, or just go up to the north of England or wherever it is, and I'll discover a wonderful lake, and there's a little shop there where I can buy that, or I get a little cafe where I could sit and have I don't drink coffee, but a coffee, whatever it is. And it would be lovely, and I'd be sitting there thinking, what a lovely time I'm having. And that world is still there. And whether you've screwed something up at home or screwed something up in the office or whatever, however bad it feels, just know there's a place out there where you could be enjoying yourself, and it doesn't matter. And it helps you think, whatever I'm doing today, however bad it feels, it's not that bad. I can go off and have fun, enjoy myself and relax. And if you can imagine yourself being there, you can imagine how pointless you are, how pointless it is worrying about how you're feeling today. It's not that bad. Most people will forget tomorrow. If you were to go on holiday tomorrow, you'd be in that wonderful place, and the world hasn't changed.
Okay, so that one bad thing that happened in the day, in the grand scheme of things, it's insignificant.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing today doesn't matter. You're not as important as you think you are, but also the thing you're worrying about isn't a life and death thing. I mean, if you're in a career, maybe if you're a doctor, maybe the world is different and you can be disappointed in it, but they have to live with that day in, day out, and they get used to that. They have to do other things that compensate for that themselves. And I'm sure it explains partly the slightly shorter life expectancy of doctors, sad as it is. The worry that they have, they give themselves for that life or death situation every day. Most of us don't have to deal with that. And if we can put ourselves into that position and say, life, there are more important things in life to worry about. Let's not worry about this silly little deal, this silly little negotiation, this silly little thing I said, and move on.
Is that something you've had to practice over the years? Or
I've done career limiting emails. I've done stupid things I've done when I've got angry or depressed or frustrated, and it's hard to say it now, but at the time you have to stop with that emotion and start thinking realistically. Does it matter? Did it really screw up? Or if it did screw up, so what? Let's apologize to the people. Let's be the first to sort of try and reconcile the situation and move on and not worry about it.
Because sometimes, let's say I sent an email let's say I sent one client's report to another client.
That sounds
Well,
pretty
that's
bad.
pretty
That's pretty bad.
Okay, so
I just have to.
so I'm trying to pick something that's
Don't
really,
do that, folks.
So I'm trying to pick something that's really bad, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh shit, like this is really
Yeah,
bad.
that's bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
But there are people who have done that,
Yeah, of course so.
and they are still here. So
Yeah.
whilst that is very bad, I think genuine mistakes do happen, and
Don't overreact.
yeah,
Don't overreact. First thing is when we've done something bad, the next thing we do is something to compensate, and we try and do it at equal measure. And that's almost always a disaster. So the first thing is to go and speak to somebody you trust or who has authority that is the next line up, and really have that conversation, no matter how sort of awkward you think that is I need to share this problem. Problem shared is potentially somebody else's problem, but is at the very least a problem shared. So you need to stop and say, first of all, let's not overreact. Think, what would a paramedic do in a crazy situation? They're always really calm.
But it's difficult if you're really stressed, hyperventilating, and so I guess the one.
And you've got a chance to undo it and quickly send an email and stop it and do something.
So I guess the first thing to do is take a deep breath and
Yes.
talk to someone you trust
Yes.
who's in a position of power.
Yeah. Ideally, or even somebody who has got no skin in the game, nothing at all, and they can give you some practical advice, and they will slow down your thinking, because you'll be doing constantly as a system 1 thinking instead of system 2 thinking. You'll be like responding to the event rather than considering what your options are, and you won't be able to consider all the options. Just by explaining to somebody else, you'll realize if it's important.
Yeah.
You realize what the next action is. And very rarely we have something where you've got to operate on some human being life or death scenarios, or you pressed a button that explodes the world or something.
Yeah.
So it's almost always less time sensitive than you think it is. And stop and take time.
I guess sort of what I'm trying to say is, you guys reacted very badly. I was thinking it's the worst thing someone can do. So that's as bad as a mistake you can do. But actually, the reaction isn't, do you know what, you're going to get fired the next day. It's, let's come together, let's try and solve this.
Yeah.
Genuine mistakes happen. So I think kind of the message to everyone here and getting your reaction is, you can mess up like that, but you'll still be around. You're not going to lose your job.
It's never that serious.
It's never that serious.
I've actually done something similar. Not at this role. No, in this job. In my previous company.
I'm going to check my emails in a second.
In my previous company, I've actually done something like that. Exactly that, which is I've sent a report. We used to auto-generate reports in the system, and I was having an off moment. So I type in my email address, which is blah, 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 rather than put in the company handle, I put in gmail.com. And of course, I don't own that email, and that email address has been taken by someone else.
Yeah.
So that was a big problem. So I've done that, and I'm still here. And that wasn't the reason why I left my last firm. So
The classic one everybody used to have was they left stuff on the printer. And the number of things that happened like that were, crazy. I've seen like printouts of salary information and had to go and take it to finance and hand it back to them and say, look, I don't mean to be funny, but you've got to be careful. And they'll say, oh, that's somebody in HR. I know exactly who's done this. I need to send them an email, angry email. No, don't send an angry email. We can deal with this. But I guess the main point is, like you said,
No one's going to die.
it's not that bad.
It's not that
bad.
Okay. Third one is, what's your advice to yourself now?
Now,
In this day and age, in this economy.
don't take yourself too seriously. Not only are you not as important as you probably think you are. I'm like senior person in the team, got to go around bossing people around. Again, it doesn't really matter as much as you think it does. Just be a nice person, listen to people, and it's something I will get angry at some point. I try not to get angry, but at some point I will be frustrated. I need to think, hang on a second, is this going to give me what I want? Which might be that person behaves themselves and stops doing that. No, it'll probably just make them fearful of me. How's that going to help anybody? So I need to stop and think, let's put this into perspective. Let's just be honest, but also let's not be the nice guy all the time, because that's as bad as being the angry guy all the time, or lady or person or whatever it is. I think you have to start thinking, how can I be honest and open and genuine and authentically me, and say what I'm actually thinking and explain why I'm thinking that. And I may be wrong, and allow them to correct me. Because if you don't give a certain amount of toing and froing, you'll never fully understand how they absorb that, or how they feel about that. So I think my advice to myself, and probably won't listen to, but never mind, is it's probably not as important as you think it is, and just be honest and be open, and don't take yourself too seriously. Just certainly don't jump to be offended. Please don't do that. There's probably a language issue, or maybe you didn't hear it properly, or maybe there's something else going on, and that person's just living through a very difficult time in their own life, and they've accidentally sent an email to another client with the wrong data, and they're just yelling at you because they're yelling at everybody they've met today. And so try not to worry too much about this stuff, and enjoy it, live your life, find something you enjoy doing. Don't be embarrassed about it, own it. You'll live a more interesting life.